How the gentle wind beckons through the leaves as autumn colors fall.
Hey, what the hell is this? This ain't a video about video games. Well, my last video I ended up spending over 100 hours doing tons of crazy editing. So, yeah, please understand why I want to just talk about a show I watched recently with some more casual editing. And hey, I've never talked about an animated series on the channel before, so this should be a nice change of pace. Well then, Over the Garden Wall isn't exactly new, but it's very recent. It premiered on November of 2014, and as of October 2016, is the first and only miniseries to have ever debuted on Cartoon Network. Though, despite how recent the series is, I've personally never heard anyone talk about it. And that's pretty shocking to me, because the show was awarded both a Reuben and an Emmy. So the fact that I personally wasn't even aware of the show until a few days ago, that's kinda sad. To be fair, I guess I can see why a show like this would be overlooked by most people. But before I get ahead of myself, what is this show even about? And why should you care?
Yes, cock! Cock! We saw a title. That's a pretty tall order you're given. You really think you'll convince me to watch it?
Well, Kermit the Frog. I'll try. Over the Garden Wall tells the story of two brothers, Wirt, the anxious and awkward older sibling, and Gregory, the younger brother who is unreasonably optimistic about every situation he's dropped into. Basically the comic relief of the show.
Hot dogs are not actually dogs, regardless of what they teach in school.
While on their way back home, they get lost in a seemingly endless forest referred to as the Unknown. And the Unknown... not such a great place to be. They run into a woodsman early on that is obsessed with keeping his lantern lit. While off-putting, he seems nice enough and tries to lead the boys to a nearby town, also warning them of a mysterious being that lingers the forest known as the Beast. The brothers are later accompanied by a talking pessimistic bluebird named Beatrice.
So is it nice being a bird?
Nope.
Oh.
Who states that she's honor bound to help them return home because Greg helped her out of a sticker bush.
That's the bluebird rules.
Okay.
Beatrice tells Wirt and Gregory that the good woman of the woods, Adelaide, can help lead them back home, and that she'll guide them to her for helping her out of the bush. And the rest of the show just sort of follows them on their misadventures and interactions with the people of the unknown, all the while traveling to Adelaide and uncovering the overarching mystery of the beast and the lantern that the woodsman so desperately tries to keep lit. A pretty simple premise on the surface, but where Over the Garden Wall excels is how it uses dark tones and theming in juxtaposition to its warm-hearted storytelling. It knows how to make you feel all warm-hearted, and then the next thing you know it's shoving this in your face. The series definitely knows how to set a mood, and it sets that mood well. This can be accredited to its visual style, and especially the soundtrack, both of which being heavily inspired by the 19th and early 20th century. Every shot of this show is like looking at a vignette. Sepia-esque color palettes, gorgeously illustrated backdrops, and animation that looks to be traditionally animated, despite it being digital. A huge contrast to other shows on the network right now. No bright colors or loud characters, no pop culture references, no... twerking. Just a humble story with humble characters told in a way that's incredibly timeless. Timeless really is the best word to describe the show. In fact, its timeless feel is demonstrated as early as the title cards. Oh, it makes me feel so warm and fuzzy. It's not always trying to make you laugh or entertain you at all moments. The show just sort of drops you into this fictional world full of surreal characters and hopes you'll enjoy it for what it is. Obviously, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I should mention that, yes, this show is not for everyone. The show is very deliberate in everything that it does. Every scene feels very well thought out, but that's not to say that every scene is trying to progress the overarching plot, because it's not. And that right there is why I think multiple people overlook the series. Very often the show will just take the time to let the characters talk or work or, well, anything really. Over the Garden Wall presents its story to you at a very comfortable pace, which really is impressive on its own, because this isn't a long series, 10 episodes running out about 11 minutes each. So to have a series this short crammed with so many things happen throughout it, and it still feels like it takes its own pace, that's just so weird to me. I can't think of another show I felt that way about. I could definitely see someone not caring much about the show because they thought it was slow or boring, and in some ways saying something like that is completely justified. But do understand that it's not a slow show, and in some episodes, you'll feel like they're only skimming the surface of something they could easily stretch out to twice its length. I'm just gonna play some audio to avoid major spoilers, but just listen to how fast the narrator talks right here.
And so the story is complete, and everyone is satisfied with the ending, and so on and so forth, and yet...
It's like the writers were like, look, we got an 11-minute time slot we gotta fit, so we need to wrap this bullshit up. And again, I do believe the reason a show like this could be considered boring and fast is because a lot of the show is spent developing the characters. The interactions of the personalities of the show really is first and foremost the focus of Over the Garden Wall.
That doesn't really sound that fun.
The world is a miserable place, Greg. Life isn't fun.
With all this character interaction, it must be mentioned how spot on the voice talent is here. All the performances feel incredibly sincere, which is great, because when a show has a dramatic or dark scene, you don't want to feel this immediate disconnect just because the voice acting wasn't believable. Like for example, check out the sincerity of this performance right here.
No, Greg. It's my fault we ended up here. Everything's been my fault. I should have been more.
No.
Like, damn. That really sounds like Elijah Wood was choking up in the studio. Also, yeah, the voice of Wirt is provided by Mr. Frodo himself. The most ideal voice casting they could have had in my opinion. Another thing I really appreciate is that for the younger brother, Gregory, they opted out to sincerely cast a kid instead of a woman doing the voice of a young boy, which is what you usually see in most animation. Obviously, when you have a kid character voiced by an actual kid, you're gonna lose some flexibility in how the lines are delivered, and Over the Garden Wall is no exception.
Gorilla!
But in the case here, I absolutely think it works in the show's favor. Is
Gorilla!
a convincing performance? Not at all. But when it's coming from an actual kid, it adds to the charm of the show. Plus, given Gregory's character, a young naive boy who's still very kind-hearted, this is another ideal casting choice. And then there's the voice of the Beast.
Yes, come, Gregory. There is much to be done.
And then you'll show us the way home, right?
Of course. We made a promise, didn't we?
Which is so good. Speaking of the Beast, and his fantastic design, this scene right here, freeze frame that guy. Oh my god, that's so metal. I'm sure you could have gathered by the footage I've shown alone that this is a pretty dark show, and that goes for both imagery and conflicts. It could be my bias towards dark storytelling, but I think having this show be as dark as it is, and still appropriate as a show on Cartoon Network, helps distinct Over the Garden Wall against pretty much anything else on Cartoon Network right now. That being said, I'm kind of impressed how much animators and the writers got away with. I mean, they unquestionably should have been able to get away with stuff like this. I'm mostly just surprised because of how little cartoons could get away with these days, since I was a kid. There was undoubtedly more mature imagery and violence shown off in older animation than there is now, and honestly, I don't get that. I don't think kids are given enough credit, especially when it comes to censorship. Don Bluth, the god of animation, has gone on record to say that he thinks kids can handle just about anything as long as it ends well. And yeah, I totally agree with that. In the instance of this scene of this dog beast here, yeah, sure the dog is designed to look pretty creepy, but when all is said and done, they help the beast turn back into a normal dog.
Wirt, he spit up that turtle and now he's my new best friend. Oh.
That's all kids need. As long as they know that anything that initially scared them turns out alright in the end, I think most younger audiences will come to terms with what they saw. Or at least we did. So I'm not sure what changed in the past few years to make people think otherwise. So, sure, as much as I love it, Over the Garden Wall has tons of dark imagery alongside being generally dark in tone. It ends on a great note though, everything wraps up really well, and it leaves you with that warm feeling you had when you started watching the show. The imagery isn't anything I don't think a kid could handle, and the series overall is something I sincerely believe anyone of any age can enjoy.
Hey, what's that bird you got there?
I am Beatrice. These two sweet kids and I got a bit lost in the...
Over the Garden Wall truly is timeless. It's well revered now, and it'll be well revered in 20 years. Do I wish it could have been longer? Absolutely. These are very likable characters traveling through a creatively crafted world. That being said, I really can't complain. The epilogue feels very well thought out and complete, once you tune to the series as a whole. The only complaint I have is the ending, despite wrapping up well, feels a bit rushed. Because yeah, I would have liked to see a more realized, slower paced finale. But when my only complaint for a show is that it ended too quickly, it really speaks volumes for the quality of the entirety of the series. Even if you're not someone who typically watches animation for whatever reason, it's still more than worth your time to check out, for no other reason that it simply tells a good story. And it being an animated show that premiered on Cartoon Network shouldn't deter you from that. So if you haven't seen or heard of it until now, I highly recommend you watch it. Smart, charming, and timeless, Over the Garden Wall is one of the best animated series I've ever seen. Big words, I know, but I 100% mean them, and I think the show deserves every last ounce of praise it's been given. Over the Garden Wall is an absolute masterpiece.
I can't stay here forever.
Why not?
Can we please stop pretending we're gonna get home?
Huh?
Can we admit we're lost for good? Beatrice?
You know my daughter. Where is she?
I don't know.
I can put his spirit in the lantern. As long as the flame stays lit, he will live on inside. Don't!
Goodbye, Beatrice.
Goodbye, Wirt.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my first and possibly only review of a TV series ever. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing, you can follow me on my Twitter or like me on Facebook. Also, a couple of months ago I made a Patreon. If you want to help support the channel and also get your big fat sexy name on the next video, there will be a link below for you to click on. Again, thanks for watching. Happy Halloween, and have a good one.